Okay, so the wait is over. Baby Keem is back with his second studio album, Casino. And I'll be honest, was this close to anything I was expecting? Not really, but that might actually be a good thing. Because instead of giving us the obvious follow-up to the melodic blue, Keem gave us something much more personal. This feels like opening the door and stepping into his story. So I'm gonna go over every track and talk about what stood out to me. Let's get into it. No Security. I like No Security because it reminds me of a little something on Scapegoats, where Baby Keem takes a moment to speak with us and says, "Who I made this tape for, I'll tell the story 2 years later. For now, the case closed." Now, technically, it's been more than 2 years, but Keem is clearly telling a story on here. Whether or not this is the same story he meant before, it still feels like a proper continuation to his journey. The song starts off hitting the highs of his success, but then everything flips once he says, "I'm a product of the world, there's some things that I ain't told." That line completely changes the energy. Suddenly, the conversation shifts from celebrating success to questioning what that success actually means. And if you've watched a 3-part documentary, you already know that Baby Keem's rise feels a lot deeper than just a typical rap success story. Because of where he came from, the odds weren't exactly in his favor. So this track works perfectly as an opening chapter to Keem's next era. Casino is the title track of the album, and it's one of Baby Keem's most personal and vulnerable tracks to date. This being the first complete song we hear from Keem after a few years, it's nothing like we've heard before. And I just have to tell you that if you haven't already, do yourself a favor and watch the Casino documentary, because not only will it change your perspective on this song, but on the album as a whole. The song itself is already a crazy good feeling of what to expect, and the documentary shows footage of Keem as a kid, Baby Boomin', where it documents his family moved to Las Vegas, where he spent most of his upbringing. Everything about the casino imagery, the gambling themes, the chaos, it all ties back together to the environment in which Keem grew up in. Casino is a strong song, one that time and time again becomes more of what he intended for it to be. A song that is chaotic as the lyrics themselves, where you're not really flexing on anybody but sending a message to the whole world. And basically, he's just sharing what has been going on since he's last been on the scene and why he felt the need to tell the story that he is right now. There's a lot of lines on here that carry a lot of weight to them, and that's because it's all rooted in Keem expressing himself, all the hardships he's faced. He's pouring his emotions out onto this track. You can hear it in his voice, and he's making it clear that this is something necessary for him to do. So if you want to compare it to the melodic blue, yes, this project is a bit more risky in that sense, because he's not giving the fans what they want. He's giving the fans what he feels like they need, I would say. And that's to explore this part of himself and this part of his journey. Talk about this song next, Birds and the Bees. On this song, Keem talks about hitting fame before emotional maturity, how he's getting adult experiences before actually becoming or feeling like an adult, and he's coping with that through humor and, some subtle flexing. Guys, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Birds and the Bee is a song that's gonna be played the most, one of them at least. I know depending on what you're looking for, because favorites can change. This song will stand out to you on first listen just because it manages to set itself apart pretty quick. The reason is because although it is established that this album is a deeper look into Keem's past, especially his upbringing, this song gives way to Keem's more funny and smooth delivery, something that feels a bit more familiar. And really just shout out to the engineers, everyone who worked on the song, because the beat itself, everything is feeling so nice and groovy. Good Flirts, Birds and the Bee, and Good Flirts. Good Flirts is it's a love song, and it's a really nice one. It features Kendrick Lamar and Momo Boyd. Literally, as a love song about a woman, Baby Keem, he's being smooth and he's able to charm her way easier than before. Or, metaphorically, he could be flirting with the idea of being famous, having money, this newer version of himself. Like, the energy on here is very nonchalant. This is one to sneak in there anytime you want to put someone on. It'll fit right in. Back-to-back songs with that feeling that people are going to be comfortable with. They're both good and especially become catchy after you hear them a couple times. Now, House Money. It's funny because you can hear which song sounds like Keem just has so much to get off his chest. House Money brings that back here. For one, the title alone speaks a lot. Okay, so the phrase house money, where does that come from? Gambling. When you're betting with winnings instead of your own cash. Yes, I had to look that up because I'm not a gambler. Baby Keem saying he's playing life like a high stakes gamble because after where he comes from, he feels like he's already beat the odds. As we already know, Casino taps heavily into the Vegas gambling symbolism to tell Baby Keem's story, turning the casino into a metaphor for how he grew up and learned to take risks to survive, whether that be for him alone or for his family. We get ad-libs on here from Denzel Curry and love the subtle ingredients added on here that make a big difference. Even the minor features, guys, from Kendrick on the hook. You don't even gotta go crazy on it, just even little minor features can make a big difference. I am not a lyricist, so we know Baby Keem's been honest this whole time, but right now he's telling you something different. He's saying that these lyrics aren't really lyrics, but they're framed as the whole truth. Him telling us about his experience growing up in Vegas. He's not trying to be a technical rapper on here. He's just telling us what really happened. Where people see Vegas as a shiny touristy city from the outside, but actually living in it tells a whole different story. At times, even Keem wishes he didn't come down to Vegas from Long Beach. Keem gets the most vulnerable on here than we've seen him before in any song. This is a track that shows you this is something Baby Keem had to address. This part of his life, he wants to include it in his story and for everyone to know because it is important to him. Important that everyone understands and accepts his growth. Now, Sex Appeal is one of the more playful tracks on the album, and it brings a totally different energy than the heavier storytelling tracks we've heard on Casino. Also, the feature on here is Too Short, and it's actually a really smart move by Keem. Too Short is someone who's been a part of the West Coast rap for decades, and a lot of his music does revolve around the same themes. So when he shows up on a track, it feels like Keem is bridging that generational gap in some way. Alright, and this is funny because I actually found out about Too Short watching this movie, Freaky Tales, in which he actually narrates the whole movie and has someone playing his part as he battle raps the group known as Danger Zone. Even after watching the movie, I could see why Baby Keem went with him, you know. It's actually, like I said, it fits for what this song is, you know. If you know Too Short, then you got another vibe already, especially if you're from the West Coast. Like. Highway 95 Part 2. So, this is the second Highway 95. We got one on the Melodic Blue, but on the deluxe. This time we get it on the actual project. And the way I viewed it is not necessarily as a sequel to the first, but another story to tell. The song captures that feeling of driving late at night when your thoughts start drifting and your memories start resurfacing. Highway 95 literally connects Las Vegas and California. I think about it like this: at some point in our lives, we probably passed through the same road at a different point in our lives, and each time we all got something different going on. So we all got a different story to tell. Especially hearing this line earlier on No Security. When grandma died, I hit the 95 to get some closure. You know, that line, you feel it because sometimes those long drives become a way to process emotions. The highway becomes more than just a road. It does feel like something different, like a symbol for reflection or growth. It is therapeutic in some type of way. Circus Circus Freestyle gives us another in-depth look into Baby Keem's personal life. Circus Circus is a real casino on the Las Vegas Strip, and Keem uses it as a metaphor for how his childhood felt. Yeah, actually being one of the longest songs on the album, there's a lot to unpack here just in the lyrics alone. Issues with the relationships, love or family. Most importantly, Baby Keem gives us 4 minutes of just pure storytelling on here. The thing with this song is the amount of topics that are tackled. It almost feels like sensory overload. Baby Keem tries to pull from what he can remember, and it's not a traditional song, but that's okay. It's a freestyle. So Keem is just doing his thing. He's switching up the flows, switching up the beat, talking about his traumas. It's heavy. Matter of fact, the whole album feels like Baby Keem's autobiography, and it's pretty much what he intended for it to be. Dramatic Girl. This song is very lighthearted compared to the other 10 songs on here. While the other ones have more heavier focus material, Dramatic Girl is centered on romance and emotional curiosity. But how exactly does this song work on Casino? Well, it's simple, seeing as it's the only song that sounds different and more on the joyful side. Baby Keem could have taken a small risk to bring us something different, kind of like putting everything on the table. Baby Keem is showcasing a different type of gamble on here, that's all. And finally, the last song, No Blame. This last song is what cemented the entire story. After everything that we've learned about Baby Keem's upbringing, the struggles he faced, relocating to a new state, a new home, the addiction that his family dealt with, the risks they took to survive, Keem concludes it all with a message to his mother. Keem has no blame to put on her. The track centers on Keem unpacking a painful childhood shaped by his mother's absence and addiction. He directly revisits those memories while trying to understand, not excuse, the circumstances that led to them. Instead of anger, the song lands on empathy. He acknowledges the hurt, but he refuses to assign blame. It works well, and Keem doesn't hold back. He's at his most vulnerable here. I'll admit, this song is a bit sad, and especially, I know you're already probably tired of hearing me say this after watching the documentary. It makes sense to you and you can hear it, understand, based on how he delivers the lines on a lot of these songs. The absence that Keem took tells you that in a period of time, a lot of things have changed. I love that Keem chose to address this right now, because not only does it give way to something more, it can even separate who loves Keem and who loves the commercial stuff, the Baby Keem stuff. I mean, as you can see with the most recent show that he threw on a Wednesday night, where he had everyone pull up and dress almost exactly like him. So overall, going into it, just keep in mind and you'll find a lot to love on here. And not because it's flashy or filled with obvious hits, but because of how personal it feels. Baby Keem took a risk with this project. Instead of leaning into the commercial sound that made him popular, he decided to tell a deeper story about his upbringing and the environment that shaped him. The casino theme works more than just an aesthetic. It becomes a metaphor for the risk that his family took to survive, and all the risks that Baby Keem continues to take as an artist. And honestly, some people might feel divided by this album. Maybe they prefer the more energetic commercial side of Baby Keem. But projects like Casino are the ones that build that stronger fan base in the long run, because they give people something real to connect with. If you go into this album expecting hits, you might miss what Keem is actually trying to say. But if you go into it willing to listen to the story, there's a lot to appreciate, and it feels like the beginning of what could be a much deeper chapter in Baby Keem's career. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought on Casino in the comments down below, and if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the new videos that come out, and be sure to keep checking back because I got more breakdowns on the way. Remember, the music isn't stopping anytime soon, so until then, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.